Something peculiar is hidden beneath the sands of Giza, and scientists are at a loss to explain it. Recently, archaeologists have discovered a concealed structure adjacent to the Great Pyramid, utilizing cutting-edge ground scanning technology. What secrets lie within? At this point, nobody knows, but excavations are already in progress. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as one of the most iconic monuments on our planet. However, it is not alone in its grandeur. Surrounding it is an ancient necropolis, a vast royal burial ground teeming with tombs and memorials. These hallowed sites belong to pharaohs, nobles, and other high-ranking officials from a bygone era. While many of these tombs are visible above the ground, known as mastabas, which are rectangular, flat-roof structures made from limestone or mud brick, they have been the subject of study for decades. Yet, anyone familiar with classic films knows these were no ordinary graves. They feature deep vertical shafts that descend into underground burial chambers, places where the past is sealed away for eternity. Recently, archaeologists stumbled upon a particularly intriguing empty space within the cemetery, a section of land that had gone unexplored. There were no mastabas, no remnants of ruins, absolutely nothing. For years, this area was overlooked. However, between 2021 and 2023, the decision was made to investigate it further. Instead of traditional digging, they employed a technology akin to X-rays for the ground. This innovative radar system allowed scientists to uncover hidden secrets beneath the surface. And what they found was astonishing. Beneath the sands lay something intentionally buried and forgotten, a two-part underground structure. The first part is shallow and L-shaped, measuring approximately 33 feet in length and resting just 6.5 feet below the surface. But beneath it lies a much deeper and more enigmatic anomaly, a structure unlike anything else in the vicinity. Researchers dubbed it a highly resistive anomaly, indicating it is dense and solid, likely composed of stone, sand, or possibly even metal. Still, the contents remain a mystery. It's evident that the shape was crafted by human hands, not sculpted by nature. The shallower structure may have served as an entry point to whatever lies concealed below, though theories about its purpose abound. Interestingly, this area is packed with sand and gravel, suggesting it was intentionally backfilled after construction, possibly to preserve whatever is hidden inside. But why? The answer remains elusive. The archaeological team will need to excavate to uncover the true nature of the structure and its intent. One theory posits it could be a forgotten burial chamber. While many tombs in Giza contain underground burial sites, most exhibit clear surface markers. For reasons unknown, this particular site has none, making it a candidate for a lost tomb. Another possibility is that it served as an ancient offering chapel. Egyptologists recognize that some chapels were constructed in this form, though typically they were above ground, not buried. Lastly, it might represent an entirely new type of structure that we have yet to encounter, potentially reshaping our understanding of pharaonic burials. The only way to ascertain its purpose is through excavation, and that process is already underway. Archaeologists are racing against time to reveal the truth. However, they face a real risk. Giza's ancient structures are delicate and require careful handling, or they could suffer irreparable damage. For now, all we can do is await the revelations that will emerge. These tombs have always been shrouded in captivating mysteries. Sadly, many of these secrets may remain forever lost due to the relentless actions of tomb robbers. Egyptian tombs were designed to safeguard the bodies for eternity, yet this did little to deter individuals from breaking in and stealing valuable treasures. For thousands of years, from the time of the pharaohs onward, these ancient sites have been plundered. Numerous renowned tombs, including those in Giza, Saqqara, and the Valley of the Kings, have been looted, a common practice in ancient Egypt. Robbers were relentless. They dug secret tunnels to bypass traps and barriers, bribed or coerced tomb workers for inside information, and even pried open sarcophagi to seize gold, jewelry, and artifacts. By the time modern archaeologists arrived at most of these sites, they had already been stripped bare. Frustrated by this continuous theft, reigning pharaohs sought to protect their final resting places. The Valley of the Kings, the famed burial ground for Egyptian royalty, was envisioned as the ultimate secure location. Tombs were constructed deep underground, hidden within the desert. Passages were sealed with colossal stone blocks, and false doors and traps were incorporated to confuse potential thieves. Even curses were inscribed on the walls, warning of dire consequences for anyone who dared to disrupt the tomb, fueling the horror stories about mummies that have persisted through the ages. However, spoiler alert, none of these measures proved effective. Most tombs in the Valley of the Kings were completely robbed within a century of being sealed. Even the tomb of King Tutankhamun, one of history's most famous, was broken into twice during ancient times. Some pharaohs attempted to fight back against this trend. In just a century after being sealed, tombs were often completely looted. Even the legendary tomb of King Tutankhamun, one of history's most renowned burial sites, was raided not once, but twice in ancient times. But what did the rulers of the new kingdom do in response? They attempted to fight back. These ancient leaders constructed hidden, unmarked tombs, designed to thwart any potential robbers. However, their efforts were ultimately in vain. Pharaohs like Ramses II were discreetly relocated to prevent their remains from being plundered. Yet, despite these precautions, grave robbers always prevailed. Why, you might wonder. The truth is, tomb raiders were not just random criminals. They were highly skilled, organized, and well-connected individuals who knew precisely where to search. Many of them had been involved in the construction of these tombs, making them intimately familiar with hidden entrances. If they couldn't break through the doors, they would simply dig through walls, floors, and ceilings to gain access. They operated swiftly, often striking within a few short years after the tombs were sealed, before anyone could forget where the valuable artifacts were hidden. Take the Pyramid of Khufu, for example, located next to a recently discovered structure. This monumental site was looted long before modern archaeologists arrived. When explorers finally reached it, they found only an empty granite box where the sarcophagus had once rested. Regrettably, the issue extends beyond mere gold. Each raid also results in the theft of history itself. The ancient Egyptians meticulously documented what they buried and where. When archaeologists compare these records with what remains, they often find that the valuable items are conspicuously absent. Most artifacts do not end up in museums. Instead, they vanish into private collections, never to be studied again. This reality is, without a doubt, profoundly unjust. In response, several countries have taken a stand, enacting laws aimed at reclaiming historical artifacts from private collectors. For instance, in Italy, if you own an ancient Roman artifact, you must demonstrate that it was acquired legally. China is actively pursuing stolen artifacts and seeking ways to retrieve them from Western collectors. Meanwhile, Egypt has introduced new legislation making it illegal for private citizens to own any ancient Egyptian artifacts at all. In stark contrast, countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, and Switzerland appear perfectly fine with allowing wealthy individuals to own their own history. The British Museum, for instance, is built on a foundation of looted treasures. Throughout history, European empires invaded vast territories, bringing back whatever they desired. Consequently, their museums are often filled with these stolen artifacts, and regrettably, they resist returning most of them. Take the Rosetta Stone, for example. It was taken from Egypt by Napoleon's army and later seized by the British after defeating the French. Egypt has been demanding its return for years, yet it remains in British hands. Similarly, the Parthenon marbles, magnificent relics from the Parthenon in Athens, were removed by a British lord in the 19th century. Greece has been pleading for their return ever since, but the UK remains unyielding. Not to mention the countless Mesoamerican artifacts scattered across various museums worldwide. European explorers raided temples of the Mayan and Aztec civilizations, extracting statues, jewelry, and sacred objects, and now Mexico is fighting to reclaim its heritage. Now, imagine if this newly unearthed underground chamber has already been plundered. If it truly is a fresh discovery, could it be one of the rare sites that managed to evade grave robbers? Is it possible that ancient artifacts have remained untouched for 4,500 years? One can only hope that the looters did not reach this place first. Now, here's some astonishing news. Santa is real, and he looks quite different from what we might expect. A recently unearthed tomb could provide the evidence we've long awaited, suggesting that Saint Nicholas was not just a mythical figure, but a genuine person from Turkey. Contrary to the North Pole legend, he was a benevolent bishop from the 4th century, celebrated for his generosity. According to legend, he was a wealthy man born in the ancient city of Patara, present-day Turkey, who traveled to assist the poor and the sick. For centuries, there has been uncertainty regarding his existence. Some historical accounts suggest he was buried in Myra, now known as Demre, Turkey. Since the 1980s, archaeologists have been excavating this area in search of proof. And now, it seems their Christmas miracle has finally materialized. After digging 6 feet deep in an annex of St. Nicholas's Church, they uncovered a mysterious limestone tomb approximately 2 meters long. While they are confident that this is the final resting place of St. Nicholas, they are still on the lookout for an inscription to confirm its precise age. Now, if we shift our focus to the legendary figure of Santa Claus, the story takes us to Lapland, Finland. Back in 2018, archaeologists made a fascinating discovery that could potentially validate the existence of Santa. While excavating a site known as Tiny Arrow, they stumbled upon around 200 burial pits. However, upon examining the contents, there was no sign of Santa, no human skeletons at all, just an assortment of pottery and animal bones. Imagine a scene of intrigue. Archaeologists uncovering around 200 burial pits, only to find no trace of Santa Claus. In fact, they found no human skeletons at all, just an assortment of pottery and animal remains. This raises an interesting question. What was this place really used for? This puzzling discovery contrasts sharply with the recent findings of a dedicated team of archaeologists in the ancient city of Petra, Jordan. Since 2003, whispers of hidden chambers beneath the iconic monument known as Al-Khaznet, or the Treasury, have circulated. Fast forward 21 years, and a team finally took the plunge to excavate, revealing an untouched tomb. Inside, they uncovered at least 12 human skeletons along with artifacts believed to be over 2,000 years old. With hundreds of thousands of tourists flocking to Al-Khaznet each year, many hoping to catch a glimpse of the Holy Grail as depicted in the film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Here's a twist. One of the skeletons was found clutching a ceramic chalice that strikingly resembled the legendary Grail. You might recall the catastrophic fire that ravaged Notre Dame in Paris back in 2019. This historic cathedral, originally constructed between the 12th and 13th centuries, required significant restructuring. Yet, within this tragedy lay a golden opportunity for archaeologists to delve deeper into the site and uncover its concealed mysteries. Although they were restricted to digging only about 16 inches beneath the floor, this limitation proved sufficient. Upon removing the floor tiles and scraping away a thin layer of dirt, they discovered the top of a lead coffin. This led to the unearthing of limestone sculptures, including life-sized heads and torsos. In total, the team revealed over 1,000 fragments of various artistic works. Ancient statues often turn up in the most unexpected places. Take, for example, the remarkable find made by Bulgarian archaeologists in July 2024. While investigating a Roman sewer in the ancient city of Heraklia, they stumbled upon a nearly 7-foot-tall marble statue of Hermes, the Greek messenger god. This town had been rendered desolate and abandoned following 2 devastating earthquakes, one in 388 and another in 425. Miraculously, the statue survived, its head remarkably intact. Discovering ancient artworks is undeniably captivating, but imagine the thrill of uncovering an entire hidden city nestled within the Amazon rainforest. Utilizing cutting-edge laser technology, researchers have uncovered remnants of a lost civilization featuring thousands of structures, interconnected roads, canals, and homes, all concealed beneath the dense jungle. This city, believed to have been constructed around 2,500 years ago, lies in the shadow of a volcano that could have erupted and obliterated the civilization at any moment. While the exact population remains a mystery, experts estimate that this community thrived for about 1,000 years. This remarkable discovery challenges the notion that ancient people lacked organized urban centers in the heart of the Amazon. A similar revelation occurred in Camp, southern Mexico, where an archaeologist, while conducting online research, inadvertently stumbled upon a concealed Maya city. Now known as Vale Rana, this vast area is comparable in size to Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland. It boasts pyramids, sports fields, amphitheaters, and pathways linking various districts. Thanks to satellite imagery, archaeologists have also revealed an entire unknown civilization from the Bronze Age. While analyzing aerial images, they identified 100 prehistoric settlements within the Pannonian Plain, a region encompassing parts of modern-day Serbia and Hungary. The inhabitants of this area are now referred to as the Tita site group, and evidence suggests they constituted a well-organized society adept in agriculture, hunting, and fishing. In another astonishing revelation, Google Earth has aided researchers in uncovering a mysterious collection of 400 ancient gates scattered across the Saudi Arabian desert. These enigmatic structures, believed to date back thousands of years, are crafted from stone and arranged in peculiar formations that continue to baffle archaeologists. Their purpose remains unknown. These gates do not appear to serve as funeral sites, nor do they seem to function as living spaces. The impact of technology on archaeology cannot be overstated. Thanks to advances in artificial intelligence, along with a substantial $1 million prize, we have finally begun to decipher portions of the unreadable and heavily damaged ancient scrolls known as the Herculaneum Scrolls. Discovered by workers excavating the ancient town of Herculaneum near Pompeii in 1752, these scrolls were long deemed indecipherable due to their poor condition. Fortunately, AI has shed light on their hidden messages. Preliminary studies suggest that one scroll was penned by a philosopher who prioritized pleasures such as music and food above all else. And then there's Stonehenge, one of the most enigmatic sites on Earth. Theories abound regarding its origins, with some even speculating that it was constructed by extraterrestrial beings. After more than a century of inquiry, archaeologists are still piecing together the puzzle of how it came into existence. One of the most enigmatic locations on our planet, Stonehenge has sparked countless theories over the years. Some even propose that its construction might have been influenced by extraterrestrial beings. Despite over a century of intense research, archaeologists are still unraveling the mysteries of how this iconic structure came to be. Have you ever noticed that impressive altar in the center? Remarkably, it originated from Scotland, which is astonishing when you consider that this gigantic sandstone block tips the scales at more than 6 tons. What's even more mind-blowing is that the people who erected Stonehenge over 4,000 years ago did so without the benefit of wheels or modern machinery. But the intrigue doesn't stop there. The depths of our oceans hold their own secrets waiting to be uncovered. In 2013, a puzzling shipwreck was discovered approximately 20 feet beneath the waves off the coast of Kenya. At first, its origins were unknown, but recent studies suggest it might belong to the fleet of Vasco da Gama, the renowned Portuguese navigator celebrated for his groundbreaking journey from Europe to India by navigating around Africa's Cape of Good Hope. If confirmed, this shipwreck could represent one of the earliest European maritime disasters in the Indian Ocean. Ancient artifacts can come in many forms, even something as simple as a bottle. In a fascinating recent find, archaeologists in Norway uncovered a 150-year-old message in a bottle while excavating a Viking burial mound. Inside, they discovered a letter penned by Anders Lauranche, an archaeologist who worked on the site in the 1800s. Along with his business card and a few coins wrapped in paper, the letter provided insights into the excavation process. Yet, it didn't stop there. Lauranche included a personal note in runic script addressed to Emigade, shedding light not only on historical events but also on his romantic life. Remember back in December 2012 when many were in a frenzy over the looming possibility of the world ending in a catastrophic event? This panic was largely fueled by the infamous Maya calendar, which has been the subject of relentless speculation. Among its many mysteries is an 819-day count found in certain versions of the calendar that no one could decipher, until now. A group of researchers from Cambridge may have finally cracked this ancient code. Let's take a moment to explore how the Maya calendar actually functions. The system employed by the Maya civilization for tracking days is based on what we now refer to as the calendar round. Imagine 3 interlocking gears working in harmony. The first gear is a 365-day solar year, known as Hab. The second consists of a cycle of 20 names, while the third is a cycle of 13 numbers, which creates a 260-day sacred calendar referred to as Sokin. Just as we might say December 25, 2025, the Maya named their days according to the alignment of these 3 cycles. For instance, you might encounter a date referred to as the Day 3 Monic, and the 14th of the month Pop. Remarkably, it takes 52 years for these cycles to realign, after which the days begin to repeat. However, this is where the story takes a twist. Some Mayan monuments bear mysterious inscriptions that hint at the existence of an additional cycle, the elusive 819-day count. Approximately 20 examples of these inscriptions have been uncovered, predominantly in sites like Palenque and Yaxchilan in Mexico, indicating that this was no random occurrence, but rather a significant aspect of their calendar system. Early investigations revealed that this 819-day cycle was associated with one of 4 colors and the cardinal directions linked to them. Black corresponded with the west, red with the east, white with the north, and yellow with the south. Researchers also found that this time frame could be divided into 3 smaller cycles, one lasting 9 days, another 7 days, and a third spanning 13 days. When multiplied together, these cycles equal 819 days. Fascinating, right? But the real question remains, why was this done? This color scheme and the 3 cycles suggest a basic interpretation. Yet experts believe that the true purpose of this 819-day cycle is still shrouded in mystery. Additionally, researchers noted that this peculiar day count was typically depicted with a Y glyph followed by a number. In some instances, however, a glyph representing Kawil was also included. Kawil was a powerful Maya deity often associated with creation and lightning, often symbolized by a torch emerging from his forehead, representing the spark of life. Some studies in the 1990s even proposed that when Kawil's inscription depicted smoke and fire emanating from his forehead, it could symbolize the planets Jupiter or Saturn, or perhaps even both. What if that means the 819-day count is somehow connected to the movements of these celestial bodies? Research shifted towards uncovering the nature of this connection. The prevailing theory suggests that this calendar might have assisted the Maya in tracking the planetary movements in some way. As scholars delved deeper, they discovered compelling evidence that these cycles could be intricately linked to the synodic periods of Jupiter and Saturn. For clarification, synodic periods refer to the time it takes for a celestial object, like a planet, to return to the same or a nearly identical position as observed from Earth. The celestial puzzle. Unraveling the mysteries of ancient calendars. Have you ever pondered how ancient civilizations kept track of celestial movements? The synodic periods of Jupiter and Saturn offer a fascinating glimpse into this enigma. When we mention synodic periods, we're referring to the time it takes for a planet to return to a similar position as viewed from Earth. Sounds intriguing, doesn't it? Yet, amidst this excitement, a puzzle emerged. Each planet follows its own unique path, making it challenging to fit multiple planetary movements into a span of just 819 days. This four-part, color-coded calendar system simply seemed too short to align perfectly with the synodic periods of the planets visible to us. So, where does this leave us? It appeared we were back at square one. This perplexing mystery had left many scratching their heads for years, until 2023, when experts had a breakthrough. They realized that perhaps they had been approaching the problem from the wrong angle. Researchers discovered that instead of viewing the 819-day span as a strict time frame, it should be interpreted as a representation of timelines. This period may just be a fragment of a much larger calendar. Initially, this cycle appeared to track the moments when a planet became visible from Earth. To validate their new theory, the researchers needed a planet to anchor their findings, and Mercury was the perfect candidate. Why Mercury, you ask? Its synodic period is 117 days, which aligns seamlessly with the calendar count. In fact, if you divide 1819 by 117, you arrive at the whole number 7. This means Mercury stands out as the only visible planet whose synodic cycle fits effortlessly into this framework. With Mercury as their solid starting point, researchers expanded the calendar to encompass 20 cycles of 819 days. Suddenly, a clear pattern emerged. Now, all the synodic cycles of the planets fit harmoniously into this newly extended system. For instance, Saturn's synodic period of 378 days aligns perfectly after 6 cycles of 819 days, while Venus syncs up every 5 cycles. Jupiter aligns every 19 cycles, and Mars, which takes the longest, requires 20 cycles. Remarkably, it takes about 45 years for Mars to align with the synodic periods of all visible planets. This pivotal realization led researchers to conclude that the ancient civilization wasn't tracking days but rather timelines. The Maya astronomers devised this system as part of a broader calendar that included 20 cycles. But this raises an important question. Why was the study of synodic periods so crucial to the Maya? While we may not have all the specific answers regarding this enigmatic calendar, we do know that the Maya held a profound belief in the cosmos's influence over their daily lives. It's likely they aimed to analyze how the movements of visible planets corresponded with their other calendars. This system is just a glimpse into the remarkable and sophisticated understanding of astrology that the Maya possessed. Their astrological knowledge wasn't limited to agricultural cycles. They also exhibited astounding precision in predicting solar eclipses. Archaeologists assert that the Maya's connection to the stars is beautifully illustrated in the ruins of their civilization. Take, for instance, the renowned pyramid in the ancient city of Chichen Itza, located in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. A closer look at the base of its staircase reveals a stone carving of a snake's head. But here's the mesmerizing part. During the spring and fall equinoxes, when day and night are equal in length, the sun casts sharp triangular shadows that create the illusion of a snake slithering down the steps. Another stunning example of their astronomical expertise can be found in Tikal, Guatemala. Constructed around the year 1 CE, this pyramid is considered one of the Maya's earliest astronomical complexes. Its precise alignment and orientation allowed them to track and calculate solstices and equinoxes with remarkable accuracy. The Maya were masterful skywatchers, much like our modern high-tech observatories. They had their own version, Meet el Caracol, which translates to the snail in Spanish, referencing the spiral staircase within the structure. Built around 96 CE, it served as an ideal observatory for monitoring the celestial changes and tracking the movements of the sun, moon, planets, and stars. Unlike us today, who rely on telescopes and satellites, the Maya depended solely on their keen observations of the naked eye, making their achievements all the more astonishing. Now, let's shift gears and discuss some iconic symbols. The Statue of Liberty is synonymous with the USA, the Eiffel Tower represents Paris, and undoubtedly, this exquisite mask is associated with King Tut, right? However, It seems historians have left a few details unexamined regarding the story of King Tutankhamun. Prepare to be surprised. This famous mask did not actually belong to him, nor was it originally intended for him. Curious about the details? Let's take a closer look at that mask. Notice the holes? Yes, they were designed for earrings. In the vast tapestry of history, it's often the most obvious details that slip right past us. Did you know that the iconic mask often associated with King Tutankhamun never actually belonged to him? In fact, it was never intended for him at all. Stay with me as we dive into the intriguing details. Can we get a close-up of that mask? Great. Now take a good look at those holes. Yes, they're for earrings. It's not that the ancient Egyptians had anything against jewelry. Rather, earrings were typically worn by women of high status or children during that era. Now, if you're familiar with history, you might be thinking, but wasn't Tut a boy king? You're absolutely correct. He began his reign at the tender age of 9. Unfortunately, his time on the throne was cut short, as he passed away at a young age. So, while it's possible he donned earrings at 9, he likely removed them as he grew older. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? But wait, this logic doesn't quite hold up. It would have been quite unusual since no one anticipated his early death. Certainly, no one was preparing a child's mask for burial. This tragic early demise hints that the mask that ultimately adorned Tut was simply the best option available at the time of his passing. There are even more clues suggesting that the mask was discovered in a rush. Consider this. Although Tut was mummified and his body could have awaited burial, his family was eager for him to reach the afterlife as soon as possible. Some experts even speculate that the paint inside the tomb was still wet when it was sealed. Yet, just look at his mask. It's nothing short of a masterpiece. There's no way it was created in haste. Its intricacy far surpasses that of simpler cartonnage pieces. The celebrated mask of King Tut stands at 21 inches tall, embellished with precious stones, and boasts a golden beard weighing 5.5 pounds, bringing the total weight to 22.5 pounds. Now, I find this quite puzzling. It seems we're looking at a mask that might have been intended for a child, yet it features a beard. Have you ever encountered a 9-year-old sporting a goatee? I suspect not. Think about it, the stark difference between an adult's face and that of a child. Fun fact, our faces generally stop growing by the age of 16. So by the time Tut turned 19, he would have certainly had the visage of an adult. Can you picture the awkwardness of trying to fit a relatively small child's mask on a grown man? That would have been quite the embarrassment, and I'm sure no one would have allowed that to happen. So let's put the child theory aside. Now, the second possibility is that the mask could have originally belonged to a woman. This is where the beard theory enters the fray. Some researchers propose that the beard may have been added later. Here's another intriguing thought. What if this mask was actually crafted for Nefertiti, who ultimately ended up without one? In this scenario, we have two discoveries wrapped into one. Sounds a bit like a conspiracy theory, doesn't it? But let's dig deeper into the details. Tut met his untimely fate around 1323 BCE, likely due to malaria, but he also faced other health challenges, such as a broken leg, indicating he wasn't in the best physical condition. As for Nefertiti, the details surrounding her death are much murkier. We lack solid evidence regarding when or where she was laid to rest. Historians estimate her passing around 1330 BCE, but she may have lived longer, meaning the mask could very well have been intended for her. Alternatively, perhaps her mask was simply taken from her burial site. After all, they were family, sort of. Nefertiti was said to be Tut's stepmother, married to Akhenaten, who was believed to have been Tut's father. However, some scholars dispute this. The complexities of ancient Egyptian family trees. It's no wonder it's challenging to keep track of who's who. I know you may still be skeptical about the idea of Tut wearing a woman's mask. Allow me to introduce you to one more theory. Meet Howard Carter, the passionate archaeologist who uncovered Tutankhamun's tomb in the Valley of Kings, just outside Luxor. To everyone's astonishment, the tomb was nearly intact. Upon entering, Carter noticed something peculiar. It didn't feel quite like a pharaoh's burial chamber. While it was undeniably classy, it had an ambience that suggested it was designed for a woman. Typically, Egyptian pharaohs had larger tombs that better suited their stature, and even more oddly, this one was oriented to the right of the entrance. This detail didn't add up. That orientation was characteristic of female burial chambers used by Egyptian queens. Another red flag was that the chamber appeared to have been constructed in stages, and all the artifacts, around 2,000 of them, seemed to have been placed there in haste. Even more curiously, they appeared to be intended for other royals. Carter made this groundbreaking discovery in 1922, but the reasons for the tomb's oddities remained a mystery for decades. Nearly a century later, Nicholas Reeves proposed a possible solution. He suggested that King Tut might not have been the tomb's original occupant. Instead, he speculated that the undisrupted resting place of the legendary Queen Nefertiti could be concealed behind the walls of the boy king's burial chamber. Nicholas meticulously examined high-resolution photographs for months, focusing on detailed scans that revealed the texture of the tomb's walls beneath layers of paint. Nicholas dedicated countless hours to meticulously analyzing high-resolution photographs, delving into every pixel with an unwavering focus. One fateful day, his attention shifted to detailed scans that unveiled the intricate textures of the tomb's walls, concealed beneath layers of paint. As he scrutinized the images, he began to discern what he believed were the outlines of two doorways, long blocked and plastered over to obscure them from sight. The more he examined, the more convincing it became. Could this be a tomb hidden within a tomb? Nicholas speculated that there might be a concealed storeroom lurking behind the western wall of King Tut's tomb. He theorized that the chamber he was studying could be merely the outermost section of a more extensive network of rooms, akin to corridors. It sounds fascinating, doesn't it? But here's the twist. Reeves' theory was ultimately debunked. To determine if there was any truth to his hypothesis, experts resorted to ground-penetrating radar to unveil what lay hidden. Reeves proposed that any gaps detected could indicate the presence of additional rooms. Initially, in 2015, one expert believed he had uncovered a hidden chamber. However, this moment of glory was short-lived. A year later, after thorough verification, it was confirmed that there were, in fact, no hidden doorways. Speaking of mysteries, Nefertiti isn't the only legendary Egyptian figure whose burial site remains shrouded in intrigue. You might find Cleopatra's tale equally captivating. Legend has it that she once proclaimed, "No man will ever find my tomb." Quite fitting, isn't it? Ironically, the individual who has come closest to uncovering her final resting place is a woman. Fast forward a few millennia since Cleopatra's demise. While no man has succeeded in locating her tomb, archaeologist Kathleen Martinez believes she may have cracked the code. Having pursued the quest for Cleopatra II's tomb for nearly 2 decades, she recently unearthed a bust that she believes represents the iconic queen. Yet not everyone shares her conviction. Some experts contend that the bust bears no resemblance to Cleopatra at all. Alongside this intriguing marble statue, Martinez's team also discovered 337 coins, some of which, less controversially, feature Cleopatra's likeness. Yet the big question remains, who does the small bust actually depict? While Martinez insists that the statue is a representation of Queen Cleopatra II, many archaeologists argue that the facial features don't align, suggesting it likely belongs to a princess instead. I can't help but break the spell for a moment here. Some theorists believe the whole notion of "no man will find my tomb" has been misinterpreted. Even if she did say it, perhaps she was alluding to no living soul finding it, with gender being a non-issue. It might just be a beautiful legend after all. Now let's shift gears for a moment. Take a close look at these stones. At first glance, they may seem ordinary, just ancient slabs, remnants of bygone buildings. However, unlike many other archaeological discoveries, this particular find stands out as one of the most mysterious and unique. Here's the reason why. These stones are remnants of a vast temple complex known as Puma Punku, located in Bolivia. While scientists remain uncertain, it is widely believed that Puma Punku was constructed by the Tiwanaku Empire, which thrived between 300 and 1000 CE, prior to the rise of the Inca Empire. There is no evidence to suggest that this civilization possessed advanced building technologies. Some even argue they lacked a writing system entirely. Yet, every stone was carved and polished with astonishing precision, fitting together seamlessly like pieces of an intricate puzzle. The craftsmanship is so refined that not even a razor blade could slip between the stones. Quite impressive for people who lived around 1,500 years ago. And let's not forget the weight of these stones. The largest among them tipped the scales at approximately 130 tons. So, how did these builders transport such colossal weights? Scientists surmise that this civilization was unaware of the wheel's invention. So, how did they construct such a flawless engineering marvel? Did the Tiwanaku possess advanced knowledge and tools for stonework? Or was there an external influence behind Puma Punku's creation? Several theories abound. The first suggests that an advanced civilization arrived in South America, collaborated with the Tiwanaku, constructed this engineering marvel, and then departed. The second theory is a more dubious one, proposing that extraterrestrial beings visited Earth, imparted knowledge on building perfect structures, and thus created Puma Punku. The third and most plausible theory posits that there is no mystery here at all. Tiwanaku was indeed an advanced civilization with remarkable building technologies. So, what do you think? Now that we've examined some impressively rectangular stones used in temple construction, let's consider perfectly round stones that could have been used for stargazing or other mysterious purposes. Welcome to Costa Rica. Have you ever encountered perfectly rectangular stones used in temple construction? Now, imagine perfectly round stones crafted for studying the twinkling night sky or perhaps for an entirely different purpose. The specifics may not matter, but let's embark on an intriguing journey to Costa Rica. Nestled in the country's southern region, we discover the enigmatic diospheres, massive, heavy, spherical stones that date back to the pre-Columbian era, around 600 CE. Each of these remarkable stones is sculpted from a unique type of rock, formed from magma that cooled after a volcanic eruption. Picture this: ancient artisans patiently waiting for the fiery spectacle of nature to subside, allowing the molten rock to solidify before meticulously carving these perfect spheres. But how did they achieve such an impeccable shape? Scientists speculate that the creators utilized smaller stones to grind and shape the cooled magma. Some experts propose that these spheres served as navigational aids, marking pathways to significant locations. Others suggest that they had astronomical significance. The truth remains elusive. The knowledge of their purpose vanished with the disappearance of the people who originally understood their significance after the Spanish expansion. Continuing our adventure, let's take a look at these cobblestones. Archaeologists remain puzzled by the reason for their arrangement along a long stretch of desert that crosses Jordan and Israel. These peculiar stones create a line approximately 40 meters long and have stood the test of time since around 300 BCE. Their existence came to light roughly a century ago when pilots spotted them from above. Some refer to these formations as kites. One prevalent theory suggests that these structures were designed to entice animals into a trap, where they could be captured by ancient hunters. It seems that these early hunters had a keen understanding of local wildlife and anticipated that animals would follow the stones, ultimately leading them into an open area where they could be easily caught. Now, after contemplating perfectly smooth rectangular stones, round stones, and even animal traps, what could possibly come next? How about a stone canvas or a painting etched in rock? To witness this ancient marvel, we will travel to Glasgow, Scotland. There, archaeologists unearthed a slab of stone, known as the Cocknestone, dating back approximately 5,000 years. This impressive slab measures 43 by 26 feet, roughly the size of half a basketball court, and its surface is adorned with intricate swirling patterns known as cup and ring marks. But what do these markings signify? As is often the case in archaeology, the answers are elusive. One prevailing theory posits that these inscriptions are linked to astronomical events, such as lunar or solar eclipses. Could it be a star map, or perhaps a form of artistic expression? Interestingly, similar designs have been discovered at prehistoric sites across the globe. Now, let's step away from these captivating stones and delve into other archaeological enigmas. Consider the timeline of civilization development starting from 8000 BCE. Traditionally, it's believed that people settled in one location, established cities, and subsequently engaged in agriculture, eventually leading to temple construction. However, in 1994, archaeologists proposed a radical shift in this narrative. What if, instead, early civilizations built temples first to worship higher beings, and only later established cities and farming practices? Let's venture to Turkey, specifically the rural area of Göbekli Tepe, where, in the mid-1990s, archaeologists uncovered a series of stone pillars intricately carved with animal figures. This ancient structure is believed to date back to around the 10th millennium BCE, making it one of the oldest known places of worship. It's likely that it was created by semi-nomadic hunters who had yet to adopt agriculture, which emerged in this region 5 centuries later. Now, scientists are left pondering whether these structures played a pivotal role in the settlement of the area. Understanding this could provide invaluable insights into the mindset and development of humanity across various regions of our planet. Would you be intrigued by a scroll marking the location of hidden treasure? You might say you already possess one. Simply Google the Copper Scroll treasure, download a high-resolution photo, and follow the directions. But wait, there's a catch. The instructions are written in an indecipherable language. Since its discovery in 1952 in Qumran, researchers have tirelessly tried to decode this message, yet the solution remains elusive. One theory suggests that the scroll holds information about a substantial cache of silver and gold. Even if the treasure turns out to be a myth, this artifact remains a captivating subject of study. It was crafted around 2,000 years ago during the Roman Empire's dominion over the settlement of Qumran. Perhaps the locals concealed their valuables from Roman soldiers and left this map for future generations. As we approach this archaeological wonder, everything may seem unremarkable at first glance. However, if you take to the skies and survey the ground from above, you'll be greeted by astonishing patterns created by the ancient Nazca culture. As you approach this archaeological marvel at first glance, everything appears ordinary. However, if you take to the skies and gaze down upon the earth, you'll be treated to a stunning spectacle. Intricate patterns etched into the ground by the ancient Nazca culture. These remarkable formations are known as the Nazca Lines. It was in the 1920s and 30s that pilots and their passengers aboard commercial flights began to notice these colossal drawings while soaring over Peru. The lines showcase a variety of designs, from geometric shapes to detailed representations of animals, along with whimsical figures that spark the imagination. More than 2,000 years ago, the people of Nazca meticulously stripped away layers of surface soil to create these captivating patterns. But what was their purpose? The Nazca Lines have continued to intrigue both researchers and enthusiasts throughout the years. Thanks to recent technological advancements like drone imagery and satellite mapping, new insights have emerged regarding these enigmatic designs. Some researchers are even investigating the theory that these lines served various functions, including potential communication with beings beyond our world. While this might sound far-fetched, there is a kernel of truth to it. Certain scientists propose that the Nazca Lines were, in fact, a ritualistic means of reaching out to the deities revered by the Nazca civilization. Delving into these archaeological marvels not only broadens our understanding of the past, but also inspires a profound appreciation for the ingenuity and creativity inherent in the human spirit. Imagine this. You find yourself in Spain alongside a team of archaeologists, eager to unearth ancient artifacts. Luck is on your side as you stumble upon one of the most significant treasures from the Iberian Bronze Age, a time that encompasses the rich cultures of both Portugal and Spain. Your discovery includes a trove of coins, exquisite jewelry, ornate vases, and intriguing vessels, along with two peculiar items that catch your eye. One resembles a fragment of a scepter, while the other closely resembles a bracelet. But here's the twist. These artifacts have ties to the cosmos. Back in 1963, not too far from the city of Vienna, Spain, scientists uncovered the treasure of Vienna, one of the most important gold hoards from the Bronze Age. Intriguingly, the treasures, dating from around 1500 to 1200 BCE, are not entirely what they seem. Those two unusual items? They were crafted from iron, a metal that was not mined or manufactured during the Bronze Age, which began around 850 BCE, about 400 to 700 years after the treasure of Vienna was created. How could this be? A hint to this riddle lies in ancient Egypt, specifically in the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun, where an iron dagger was discovered. Remarkably, this dagger was forged from meteoritic iron, a material far more valuable than ordinary iron. Yes, you heard it. Both the bracelet and scepter were also made from meteoritic iron, known for its high nickel content, which sets it apart from earthly metals. This revelation makes perfect sense. People in the Bronze Age could not extract iron from deep within the earth, but they could certainly gather iron that had fallen from the sky. Just picture it. Owning jewelry or a dagger forged from material that has traversed the cosmos for millions of years, possibly containing fragments from an ancient, long-extinct star. Today, those two artifacts from the treasure of Vienna are recognized as the oldest known items made of meteoritic iron in the Iberian Peninsula. With this mystery unraveled, your attention can now shift to the wealth of the treasure of Vienna itself. This incredible collection comprises 66 items, including bowls, bracelets, bottles, gold jewelry, 3 silver vessels, and an amber gold button, totaling an impressive 22 pounds of ancient gold. This treasure was hidden away for 3,000 years before it was finally uncovered. For those fascinated by history, this archaeological dream can be explored at the Vienna Museum, which showcases exhibits spanning from prehistoric times, over 50,000 years ago, up to the present day. Here, you'll find treasures from the Iberian period, the Roman era, and artifacts from Arab civilization. The museum houses not only coins and jewelry, but also remnants of columns, ceramics, and various architectural wonders. This collection is hailed as one of Europe's most significant prehistoric treasures. And the best part? You can experience it all for just €2, roughly $2. So why not make your way to Vienna, visit the museum, and indulge in a journey through time? Now, picture this. An old farmer friend of yours approaches you, asking for help with a metal detector to locate a hammer he misplaced in the field. You grab the detector and set off on a quest. But instead of a humble hammer, you uncover hundreds, even thousands, of silver coins valued at an astounding $2 million. Excitement fills the air as you realize how fortunate you are that the farmer lost that hammer, making you rich in the process. But hold on, considering that the land belongs to the farmer, would you share your incredible find with him, or would you keep it to yourself? In reality, neither of these scenarios played out. Imagine you're a farmer who has just lost a hammer, only to stumble upon a hidden treasure that could change your life forever. Would you inform the farmer about your discovery or keep it for yourself? In reality, neither of these scenarios played out as you might expect. Back in 1992, Eric Law was assisting a farmer in searching for that lost hammer in a field close to Hackney, Suffolk, England. Little did he know, his metal detector would unveil something extraordinary. A vast treasure trove. Among the finds were silver spoons, exquisite gold jewelry, over 500 gleaming gold coins, and approximately 14,000 silver coins. Eric Law unwittingly uncovered the largest collection of Roman-era gold and silver in Britain. Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately for the historical record, neither he nor the farmer got to keep the treasure. It now resides in the British Museum. Now, let's shift our focus from that farmer's field to the sun-kissed shores of the Mediterranean. Picture yourself as a scuba diver. After yesterday's fierce storm, the waters are calm again, inviting you to dive in. As you plunge into the depths, you discover the seabed strewn with gold dinars. This remarkable event occurred in 2015, as the tempest had washed these coins ashore. Some of them might date back to before the First Crusade, which began in 1096. This collection stands as one of the most astonishing archaeological discoveries globally. While such treasures can certainly make anyone's head spin, they often end up in museums. And perhaps that's for the best, as the burden of immense wealth can drive a person to madness. Both metal detectors and diving suits have played significant roles in uncovering ancient riches. But what if I told you that a dog could also become a remarkable treasure-finding companion? Yes, indeed. In 2013, two individuals were walking their dog on their property in Northern California when they stumbled upon a rusty can filled with coins minted between 1847 and 1894. Inside were about 1,500 gleaming gold coins, a potential ticket to a carefree and wealthy future. However, this discovery sparked considerable debate among experts. One theory suggested that these coins might have been stolen from the U.S. Mint, but the Mint later dismissed this idea, affirming they had never stored such gold. What a curious case. A thief had risked everything to amass wealth, only to conceal it in someone else's yard, as if it had never existed. Strange, isn't it? Coins, jewelry, meteorite artifacts. These discoveries are fascinating. But let's conclude our tale with something truly monumental. Archaeologists conducting research near the Mediterranean coast of Egypt stumbled upon an astonishing treasure hidden within a sunken temple and sanctuary. Despite the ravages of waves, earthquakes, and salty seawater, this massive find remained in surprisingly good condition. This temple, built many centuries ago, collapsed in the mid-2 ND century BCE and was once a significant structure in ancient Egypt, revered as a holy site. Pharaohs would visit this temple, seeking guidance from higher powers in Egyptian mythology to secure their titles as rulers. For countless souls, this location was considered the center of the universe. Now it rests forgotten on the seafloor, nearly in ruins. Time indeed spares nothing. Researchers have discovered that the temple was part of an ancient port city, which was obliterated by an earthquake. Tidal waves softened the ground, dragging this once thriving town into the Mediterranean. As scientists explored the temple, they uncovered numerous hidden treasures: silver ceremonial instruments, gold jewelry, and alabaster vessels, which were likely used to store perfumes or ointments known as unguents. It seems the ancient Egyptians had quite the knack for cosmetology. Adjacent to the temple, archaeologists also unearthed a Greek sanctuary, suggesting that Greeks residing in or visiting Egypt paid homage to Aphrodite. Here, they found bronze and ceramic artifacts from diverse cultures, indicating that the Greeks had permission to trade and even settle in this Egyptian city. It appears the pharaohs of around 600 BCE were quite favorable toward the Greeks. The life of an archaeologist is undoubtedly thrilling. But pause for a moment. What would you do if you stumbled upon ancient treasure? Before you answer that, it's wise to familiarize yourself with the laws regarding such finds in your country. In July 1990, four adventurous Czechs set out on a quest to find the mythical Mongolian deathworm, a creature that may have inspired the monster from the movie Doom. According to legend, it lurks deep within the Gobi Desert. With excitement in the air, they flew to Mongolia, hopped on ATVs, and enlisted local guides to aid them in their search for this legendary beast. Rumored to grow up to 6 feet long, capable of spitting corrosive acid and unleashing electric shocks on those it disapproves of. Local lore suggests that these mysterious creatures prefer to remain hidden beneath the sandy dunes, but may emerge during the wetter months of June and July. What a thrilling adventure! The elusive creature of the Gobi Desert. A tale of mystery and adventure. Did you know that hidden beneath the sandy dunes of the Gobi Desert lies a creature that has captured the imagination of many? Legend has it that these elusive beings prefer to stay concealed beneath the earth, only emerging during the wetter months of June and July. This makes the timing for a sighting simply ideal. However, luring this creature out proved to be quite a challenge for the expedition crew. Unfortunately for them, no one was quite sure what this giant worm, often referred to as the death worm, favored for its meals. To entice it, they constructed a device known as a thumper, essentially a machine that produced rhythmic pounding sounds. The hope was that these noises would coax the worm out from its subterranean hideaway. For 2 long months, the team traversed the vast desert landscape, navigating dunes and rocky plains in search of any signs of this legendary creature. Yet, their efforts yielded little success. Ivan McCurley, who led the 1990 expedition, returned to the Gobi Desert a second time. His initial attempts to attract the megaworm involved loud blasts, while this time he employed a small airplane to scout the dunes from above. Over the years, numerous groups from the United States, Britain, and New Zealand organized significant expeditions to the Gobi to uncover the truth behind the creature. Many adventurers from around the globe joined in the quest but returned empty-handed. The Western fascination with the Gobi Desert's megaworm began with American paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews. This intrepid explorer is often considered an inspiration for the character Indiana Jones. In 1926, he documented the creature in one of his books, recounting vivid descriptions he had gathered from Mongolian leaders who, despite having never seen it themselves, painted a picture of a creature resembling a sausage, approximately 2 feet in length, devoid of head or legs. According to these accounts, the worm was so venomous that even the slightest touch could prove fatal, and it resided in the most isolated regions of the Gobi Desert. Although Andrews himself was skeptical about the creature's existence, he continued to share these captivating tales in subsequent writings. Fast forward to May 2005, when a group of 4 friends from Great Britain, dedicated to the pursuit of mythical creatures, decided to give the search for the megaworm another shot. They sketched illustrations of the worm and enlisted the help of locals to distribute flyers throughout the Gobi Desert, offering a reward for any information on the creature or even a specimen. Many adventurers believed that the loud sounds previously used would send the beast fleeing. However, some locals suggested that the worm favored damp conditions. Consequently, the group devised a plan to block streams of water to create wet areas that might entice the creature to surface. Unfortunately, their efforts to construct dams in the desert proved too challenging. Ultimately, they resorted to using small traps but found no definitive evidence of the worm's existence. However, they did encounter locals who shared fascinating stories about strange creatures they had witnessed over the past 70 years. As time passed, tales of the Gobi Desert monster spread globally. In some stories, it is described as just 1 foot long, while in others it reaches human size. Its appearance varies from white, gray, or scaly to brown, or even a bright red, fleshy hue. Some accounts liken it to a snake or a caterpillar, while others suggest it may possess wings and the ability to fly. A few even believe it could be a supernatural entity devoid of a physical form. Could the discrepancies in these stories and the fruitless searches imply that the creature doesn't exist at all? Or perhaps it falls under the category of many cryptids like Bigfoot, the Yeti, or the Loch Ness Monster, whose existence remains unverified. In 1983, a scientist visiting the region heard rumors of an elderly man who had supposedly captured the mysterious worm and was informed about a nest nearby. The scientist bravely approached the hole in the sand and reached inside. What happened next? A giant creature dragged him in, and he was never seen again. Just kidding. In reality, he found a Tartar sand boa, a chunky, burrowing, non-venomous snake with small eyes and gray-brown scales. He showcased the snake to the locals to confirm whether it was indeed the monster, and supposedly they all agreed it was. Most Mongolians familiar with the lore of the worm continue to believe in its existence. Interestingly, while people refer to this supposed monster as a worm, the term in English merely reflects its sound. For centuries, many Mongolian cultures have used this word to describe any animal perceived as particularly dangerous, especially snakes, even non-venomous ones. Thus, it doesn't necessarily have to be a literal worm. After all, worms are soft and squishy, while a creature inhabiting the harsh environment of the Gobi Desert would need to be much tougher, resembling a snake or a legless lizard. Neither of these creatures, however, possesses the ability to shoot electricity or spit acid, as legends suggest the deathworm can. Yet, some snakes, like cobras, can spit venom that poses a threat to humans. If the creature were